Get yourself on the BBC. Upload.
So for those of you that have been indulging in movie watching over the festive period, the Christmas period, the New Year period, and you've enjoyed perhaps some of those kind of fantasy-style swashbuckling adventures, we have a piece now uploaded to us by Natalie Shaw. She's in Chaldernsford in Hampshire, an author of 2 books, and we're going to have a brief reading from her first book, her debut novel, A Phantom Archer. She's self-published and a finalist in the National Book Awards, this particular book was, and I really like it. So she gives us a little intro, she gives us a little reading of it as well. So here we are then, Natalie Shaw from Chaldernsford in Hampshire with her reading from A Phantom Archer.
Hello, my name is Natalie and I'm an author from Hampshire. I've self-published my first book, Phantom Archer, last year, and this was a finalist in a book awards, so I'm really chuffed with that. My second book came out this year and it's The Phantom Archer, The Devil's Stone, and you can potentially see these are historical, supernatural, slightly dark stories that are inspired by history and folklore. I'm a big love of fantasy and that kind of genre. I have since discovered that, like me, there's many people that like reading these young adult books, which has led me to do my own book reviews on TikTok, Instagram and Facebook, where I talk about this genre because I've discovered there's people like me that have never grown up and we love reading adventure stories and we love reading all about young adult books. So I think it's a big market that's still out there and I wanted to give it some representation. So my first book, The Phantom Archer, this is about a girl called Gwen, and she has been told by her mother that monsters are for silly hearts and dreamers and they just don't exist. Unfortunately, something terrible has happened and Gwen has now discovered that these things are quite real and one is currently hunting her. And the extract I'm going to read you today is just a little bit of when Gwen is hiding in the woods from one of these creatures. There was nowhere left to run. I clutched at the cloak, shivering, and listened to death stalking its way towards me. The hissing got louder, punctuated by branches buckling under the weight of the hunter. Hopelessness welled in my chest and tears clumped my eyelids. I pressed my lips together, not wanting to alert the thing coming from me. Then covered my ears, trying to block out its approach. Cold air seeped through the gaps in my hiding place. I huddled inside, waiting for the inevitable. I heard my mum's voice. My big brave girl, monsters only exist in fairy tales, and for children and silly hearts, they can't really hurt you. Through my hands, I heard a series of piercing whistles, and whatever was outside screamed, a loud, inhuman noise. Uncovering my ears, I heard the ricochet of popping twigs, along with a whirlwind of dry leaves being ripped and crushed. I dared to open my eyes a sliver. Suddenly, the branches of my den were thrown aside, and the figure of a man crouched near me, his face hidden by a mask, and he wore an odd-shaped hat and black clothes. Before I could do anything, he grabbed my arm and hauled me to my feet, pulling me past the thrashing beast. I couldn't see it properly. It was tangled in thick brush, but black-tipped arrows were sticking out of its bulk. We had seconds before it recovered. The man grabbed my other hand and squeezed it hard. The world shifted, and the trees blurred, causing a sickening sensation that forced me to close my eyes. When I opened them, we were stood on a grassy verge by the side of the road. It was almost dawn. We seemed to be in the middle of nowhere. Large fields all around, separated by the road we stood next to. Well, that was new. The man sounded surprised as he looked at his hands and then at our surroundings. Although the world had stopped spinning, I still felt the blurry sensation and wobbled for a moment before flopping down on my backside on the verge. The masked man crouched in front of me. Are you all right? No holes where there shouldn't be holes? He steadied my shoulders as he looked me up and down. No, I'm all good. I managed a wobbly smile. Excellent. He sat back, rested his elbows on his knees while catching his breath. I drank in my new companion. The outfit, with the hat and the odd whistling sound that had announced his arrival. It all added up. "You're the Phantom Archer," I said. The eyes smiled behind the mask. They were the colour of a blue summer's day. He inclined his head. "At your service, and it's Gwen, isn't it?" "Yes. How do you know?" The light faded from his eyes for a moment. "I just do." He stood up. "The same way I know we need to walk along this road to get you where you need to be. Are you all right to stand?" He offered his gloved hand. I let him help me to my feet and hobbled along beside him. I'd heard stories of this ghostly vigilante. Impossible deeds told in hushed, excited tones at night. Until now, I thought he was purely a figment of people's imagination, fueled by ale and superstition. I stared at the man walking beside me and resisted the urge to poke him. He wasn't as tall as I expected, but he was well built and moved with the confidence of a seasoned fighter. "Thank you," I said. "Excuse me?" The Phantom glanced at me. "From saving me from that thing. Do you know what it was?" My companion shook his head. "Honestly, I've no idea, and I hope I never have to find out." He touched the top of the sword strapped to his belt, and he looked around as though checking no more beasts were about to jump over us. "Me too." I took a breath. "They're dead, aren't they? Those men?" The figure stopped and turned. The cloak clipped to his shoulder, swished as he moved. He cocked his head to one side, assessing me for a few moments. "I think you know the answer to that." The voice was gentle, as it always is when people tell you what you don't want to hear. I nodded. "If it makes you feel any better, they weren't particularly good people," he added. "It doesn't. And that's what makes you a good person, Gwen. Your compassion. Try to remember that." I frowned. "How do you know so much about me?" The man paused and took a breath, as though he was about to speak, and then shrugged and turned to continue walking along the road. "I can't explain. It's like this road. It feels familiar. I know where the potholes are, and I know there is a milestone just up there." He pointed ahead at a grassy knoll. "I can't quite remember ever being here." I glanced around at the fields. "Where are we going?" "I'm not sure, but if we walk along this road long enough, my friends will find you and help you." Well, if you want to know more, you'll have to get the book.
Natalie Shaw there from Chandler's Ford in Hampshire with a reading from A Phantom Archer. Excellent.